Welcome back to Jane's Stories of Life. Well, it's been a little while since I've made a video. I want to share with you, I had quite an adventure several weeks ago. I was grandma in charge. John had to be out of town for a week, and so I took the train to where he lives, which is about 3 hours away, so that I could stay with Grant, my grandson, who was 11. It was quite an experience. It's been a while since I've been in charge of an 11-year-old, which involved, of course, everything, all the routines, the routine of getting him up in the morning, getting him ready for school, taking him to school, school lunch, picking him up, meals, the whole 9 yards, and it was quite an adventure. It had been a long time since I had done those things. It was really a good week. It was a fun week. We both survived. I wasn't sure how everything would go because it was new to both of us. Grant is a typical 11-year-old, full of energy, good appetite, full of just all the things that 11-year-old boys are full of. He does happen to be on the spectrum, and he is pretty much nonverbal. However, you do know what he wants. He lets you know what he needs. We seem to be able to master everything quite well. He had a good week. He just adjusted to all the changes. We did a lot of laughing and enjoying one another. So it was quite something. The routine of getting out to school, oh my soul. I had not experienced car lines or whatever, pickup lines, drop-off lines. I grew up in Cleveland, walking to every school until junior high, and then I was using public transportation from then on. Our children grew up in Schenectady, which had no school busing. Everything was in walking distance, so I didn't have any experience with car transportation, bus transportation, anything with them for all 12 years of their formal education. When our older grandchildren, when Cindy died when Dominique was 12, Morgan was almost 10, they did live with us for 2 years during the week because of our son-in-law's work schedule. And so during that time, we were 15 miles from their schools, which meant I did drive them to school and pick them up each day. There weren't a lot of car riders or pickups and drop-offs and things like that at their schools. But let me tell you, the week where Grant goes to school, there are probably, I think we saw on the website, about 1,100 students, pre-K through 5. The car line for pickup starts lining up. People start getting in line. I was in line each day for about an hour, and I was not the first car in line. John told me that some cars are there maybe an hour and a half ahead of time. So that was a whole experience. The dropping off in the morning wasn't quite as challenging because Grant did not move as quickly some mornings as I would have hoped. And so we were sometimes right there about when the bell was ringing. A couple of days we were running a little late. One day I let the school know, and I let John know via text so he could let the school know. We were almost 30 minutes late. I think that was maybe the first morning when I just couldn't quite, my rhythm was not such that lunch was ready. He was a little reluctant. He didn't want to get out of bed. So we had a bit of a challenge it was the second day, a little challenge that day. And the other day I went home and fixed my own breakfast, after I got him off. That second day when it was such a challenge, I took myself to First Watch and sat there and leisurely enjoyed a good breakfast. So, but it was a good week. We had a good time. I managed, with the shower routines and the bedtime routines, and everything really went well. So, it was quite an experience. I realized, like I said, it had been 20 years. Cindy died 20 years ago, so it had been 20 years gap between Grandma having to do school things. I really was so impressed with what Grant does on his own. He would come in, we'd come back from, at the end from school, and he went right in, emptied his lunchbox, washed out everything, fixed his own after-school snack, took care of that. I mean, I just kind of watched in awe at all, his routine, which he maintained during that time. But I tell you, after a week, I came home and it was like, whoo, my soul. This is why the Lord does not have people having children that past certain ages. At 83, Grandma duty was a whole lot different, but it was a great week. I really enjoyed it. And as I said, we survived. John was able to do what he needed to do in Chicago with full assurance that things were running well at home. Grant likes to go for rides, so every evening we would go for a ride somewhere, and just I explored that area. We just had a good time, and it was very gratifying to be able to help, to be able to enjoy each other for that long. We had not spent that kind of quality time together before, and it went very, very well. John and I were both, pleasantly relieved that the adjustments were so easy, and it was just such a good week. So but as you see, it's taken me a few weeks to sit down and really process all of it and talk about it. But other than the car line, that's a whole, oh my soul. That was a whole new experience of sitting in that line and waiting for the gate to open so the cars could go around. And I had a little trouble. The first day, I couldn't quite remember how to get John's car from park and to drive. And in the little hesitation that I had in getting the car started, in the line, once it started moving, I think 3 or 4 impatient parents just scooted right around past me like, come on, lady, let's move. So after that, I would start the car and put it in drive about 2 or 3 minutes before I knew the gate would be open for cars to start moving. So, hey, we managed. Anyway, talk about a memory. That's a whole new memory for me. You know what I say? Cherish your memories and pass them on.